Jon Jones vs. Tom Aspinall, duck or goat? Is the retirement real or just a master move? Jon Bones Jones is arguably the most dominant and polarizing fighter in the history of mixed martial arts. From dismantling legends in his early 20s to claiming the UFC heavyweight title in a division he wasn't even supposed to survive in, his resume is as jaw-dropping as it is complicated. But now, after a thunderous win over Stipe Miocic in November of 2024, knocking him out in front of a sold-out Madison Square Garden and even the President of the United States, Jon Jones has chosen not to unify the belt with the surging interim champion, Tom Aspinall. And just like that, the MMA world split into two camps. One side says Jon Jones is simply playing chess, choosing his legacy moments carefully like a king guarding his throne. The other side, they say he's ducking, that he's afraid of a younger, hungrier lion in his prime, that Jon would rather walk away than risk what he's built. The truth? It might live somewhere in the gray. So today we're breaking down the debate. Is Jon Jones still the GOAT? Or did he just duck the most dangerous fight of his career? And most importantly, is this retirement real? Or just the beginning of a master plan to build the biggest heavyweight showdown in UFC history? Up next, let's discuss why some say Jon Jones is ducking Aspinall. The first reason critics are calling this a duck is simple. Jon Jones had the perfect opportunity to silence all doubt by facing Tom Aspinall, and he passed. After knocking out Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, Jones could have capitalized on that momentum and taken on Aspinall in a unification bout, but instead, he dismissed Tom as an interim champ who, quote, hasn't earned it yet, and proceeded to announce his retirement. From the outside, that looks like avoidance. It looks like a champion bowing out before the real test arrives. Secondly, there's the nature of the opponent. Tom Aspinall is unlike any heavyweight you've ever seen before. Quick, cerebral, and able to finish fights in seconds. His first round knockout of Sergey Pavlich was brutal, clinical, and announced him as a serious threat. Jon, who is usually willing to play mind games, hasn't even entertained the idea of fighting Tom. That silence? For many, it speaks volumes. They see a calculated move to protect the brand, not the belt. And lastly, there's Jon's public framing of the situation. By downplaying Aspinall's title and pretending the interim belt means nothing, he's attempting to control the narrative. Something he's always been brilliant at, but in the eyes of the fans, it comes off as deflection. If the interim belt meant so little, why not just unify it and shut down the noise once and for all? Because maybe, just maybe, he knows how dangerous Aspinall really is. And in the other camp of public opinion, let's discuss why others still call him the GOAT. On the other hand, Jon Jones has earned the right to be selective. Let's not forget, this is the man who beat Shogun, Rampage, Machida, DC, Gustafsson, and most recently, Stipe Miocic. His resume spans generations. When he returned after a 3-year layoff, he didn't ease into heavyweight. He submitted Cyril Gane in 2 minutes. Then he knocked out Stipe, a man widely regarded as the greatest heavyweight in UFC history. That's not ducking, that's dominance. Secondly, the Stipe fight wasn't just about competition, it was about legacy. Jon trained specifically for Miocic, targeting the perfect way to cap off a legendary career. Aspinall may be dangerous, but he's still new blood. For Jones, fighting Stipe was a storybook ending. A legend versus legend bout with everything on the line. To him, fighting Aspinall wasn't part of the legacy script. It was a detour, and detours don't always interest champions of his caliber. Lastly, let's talk business. Jon Jones knows how to play the game. His retirement might not be about fear. It might be about leverage. Why rush into a high-risk fight for regular champion money when you can let Aspinall build more hype, stack another couple wins, and then return for the biggest heavyweight fight of all time? This isn't cowardice, it's chess. High stakes, multi-million-dollar chess. So was it a retirement or negotiation? So the big question becomes, was this really retirement or just brilliant negotiation? On June 21st, 2025, the UFC officially promoted Tom Aspinall to the undisputed heavyweight champion after Jones announced his departure from the sport. But let's be honest, when have retirements in combat sports ever really stuck? George St. Pierre came back. Conor McGregor has retired more times than we can count. Even Jon himself has hinted before at walking away, only to return when the timing and the money was right. If Aspinall wins his next bout in highlight reel fashion, say a knockout over Curtis Blaydes or Jailton Almeida, the pressure on Jones to return will become deafening. Not just from the fans, from the UFC, from the media, from his own ego. And if there's one thing we know about Jon Jones, he doesn't walk away from attention. He feeds on it. So, is Jon Jones ducking Tom Aspinall, or is he just doing what champions do? Protecting legacy, maximizing leverage, and calling his own shots? The truth might depend on what happens next. If Aspinall continues to rise, if he stacks more finishes and becomes undeniable, this chapter between him and Jones will feel incomplete. The UFC loves the storyline, and this one is writing itself. But one thing is for sure, Jon Jones' story isn't over. Whether he returns in 6 months, a year, or never again, this conversation will hang over his legacy. Because every great champion eventually meets the next great threat. And for Jones, that threat has a name, Tom Aspinall. So if you think Jon Jones is still the GOAT, type GOAT in the comments. If you think he ducked the real king of the division, type duck. And if you believe this is all just a setup for the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history, smash that like button, share this video with another fight fan, and hit subscribe, because we're just getting started.